But we're delighted to be welcome. This man worked so hard he had to cancel a lunch today. Harry Cole, political editor of The Sun. How are you?
Hello, I'm all right. I'm all right.
I'm very excited, by the way. I'm gonna stick my neck on the line. Tell them again about Monday, because this is a
Monday,
first. This
Keir
is brilliant.
Keir Starmer, Rishi Sunak in the building.
Yes.
Sun live showdown. Hundreds of Sun readers.
Yes.
Have been submitting their
Hosted
questions.
by you.
Hosted by me. They've been submitting their questions over the last few days.
Yep.
We're pouring through them. We've got some good questions.
Can I take it live as you do it? Is that all right?
Apparently so. That is what I hear.
Well, if I can't, I'm just going to insist and
Well,
say it because
it's on YouTube, it's on Twitter, it's on socials. You'll be able to hear it. Yeah.
not though. Let's be honest with the people. Not face to face, but they will very much like the Sky thing. They will take questions.
They've agreed that they will do two head-to-heads, one on ITV, one on BBC a couple of days later. But this will be them in the same room, same audience, same questions, same host.
Do they watch each other?
Well, that's the thing. So tomorrow on Never Mind the Ballots in the morning, I'm trying to get the guy from the lottery. Remember the voice of the balls?
Yes.
In fact, Jeremy, you could come and
I think you should have a camera, a secret camera on the leader in the dressing room and their reaction.
Exactly.
He's talking a load of old. Can you imagine that? That would be box office, man.
The advantage of going first is that you get the crowd at their sort of, remember what happened to Rishi on the Sky thing?
Yeah.
But by the time he came on, the crowd were kind of G'd up and ready to give him a kick in.
I'd want to go second.
Yeah, but on second we can't really stop them watching it because obviously it's live, so they'll have their phones. So
yes.
The advantage of going second is you get to watch what the other guys say.
And you can pull him to shreds.
Frankly, I'm not going to let them off the hook.
So lots of questions from lots of different people who watch and listen and read, Sun readers and
absolutely
and all that sort of stuff.
Talk listeners, Sun
exciting
readers,
for you.
Yeah, totally. So
what do you do now? This is a genuinely true question. Nobody will have asked you this ever. Are you wearing a blue tie when you interview Sunak and a red one when you interview Starmer?
I think
you need to change the tie.
Well, I think I'll be in Sun colours though. Sun red is not. That's not an endorsement either way.
Somebody will say he's biased towards the Labour
I have to find a
Party.
purple tie, sort of blend between the two. But I don't want to look like
No.
Whoever wears purple ties. Gordon Brown.
The one that throws himself down slides. What's it, Ed Davey?
Listen,
we'll keep you updated, but that is Monday. Keir Starmer, Rishi Sunak in the news building on Sun TV. We'll take it live on Talk as well. It's going to be fascinating. Harry will be talking to both of them and you will get your questions. From today, my friend, I'm trying to keep my pecker up. I just want to ask you something, which is why I read that text about Boris Johnson today. Rishi Sunak, so embattled, he's past begging the British public to not give Labour a majority, has admitted, and I quote, that and this is wonderful, that Boris Johnson would be an asset to draft him in. This is a man who stabbed Boris Johnson in the back to get the job. Am I missing the point?
He wasn't the only one that did, but he did put the boot in pretty early, pretty hard first. We had Lord Frost on today, and he was saying, obviously...
Is he standing, Lord Frost?
No, he's not. He's Boris's Brexit negotiator. Rishi had sort of blocked him from standing, then suddenly unblocked him. By the time he unblocked him, it was too late for him to find a seat. But he was saying, actually, he thinks the Tories would be doing much better if Boris was actually still in charge. But Johnson, he seems to be sort of, he's sort of dipping a toe in the election. He's done these videos for, his people he likes, or, sort of candidates in marginal seats, where he's doing these sort of Twitter videos. And he's done this direct mail, but as far as I can tell, that's about as far as you can go. There's not going to be a sort of platform sharing moment.
Do you believe...
The bad blood between those two is still pretty pretty bad.
Do you believe, and you've done this a long, long time, that if the polls are to be believed in Armageddon...
Well, we've got a great poll. I can read it to you now. It's polled tonight, Ipsos, Morris, MRP, tens of thousands of people. Labour on course for a 250-seat majority.
250? How many seats would the Tories have?
The Tories would have somewhere between 99 and 120. I think they'd take 120 right now.
Right now, you would.
But fascinatingly, Reform could have up to 10 seats.
It's very interesting. Do you believe post-election... I know we keep being told quite early, no seats, no votes.
No votes have been counted. Well, some votes have been cast. Postal votes have gone out. So.
Yes, and I had to. Because here's the thing. I have to vote for my wife by proxy. I got my letter.
Very good. What are you gonna vote for?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that, am I? Bin face. No,
absolutely
Count
not.
Bin face.
Unfunniest man in Britain.
Unfunniest man. And what a stupid newspaper that has it on the front today.
At least the monster raving loony party had some sensible policies for a happy Britain, like luminous dog dye in luminous dye in dog food, so you can see.
You can see the poo. I never forget. You're absolutely right. And there's me trying to be serious. Right. Listen. When all is said and done, if what happens, do you believe, in all your experience? Two questions. Do you believe there's a way back or an interest to come back from Boris Johnson? Do you think the Tory party?
Soon.
What?
Not anytime soon. Leader of the opposition is the most miserable job in the world. You know, especially if you're down to rump. Boris, I've always thought, likes the idea of being Prime Minister almost as much as he liked being Prime Minister, if that makes sense. He'd want the cry to go up. You know, this is the party that he gave the biggest majority to, helped get secure, led from the front, not only Brexit, and then that sort of landmark 2019 win. And that, how do they repay him? As you said, they knifed him. So I think they'd have to do some serious begging for him to even consider coming back. But he like the idea of being the king over the water, as he spent all those years, not far from here, at City Hall, being the sort of foil to David Cameron, being the alternative. Does he like the idea of that sort of just gentle drumbeat going, send for Boris, send for Boris? And the Conservative Party in their darkest hours have always turned to him. When they needed him for Brexit, when they needed him for 2019, they did send for him. Was he a brilliant Prime Minister? Did he have flaws? Of course he did. Was he great at some things and terrible at others? Totally.
Do you know his biggest mistake, in my humble opinion? And I was a
the
great
job?
fan. No, people, isn't it? People.
He's got to surround at City Hall. He surrounded himself with a solid team of strong Boris advocates who wanted to help him. The problem with in Downing Street, he surrounded himself with lots of people who were in it for themselves.
Richmond, I've got to do this. You'll love this. You won't mind me doing this. Whose constituencies is where Count Binface is standing? Is that why I've made the mistake, have I, tonight? Jeez, honestly, I wish you could join us on this broadcasting in a general election. Count Binface, the Count Binface party, is standing in the Richmond and Northallerton constituency. Ryan just went, now you've got to read that, you idiot. Jason Barnett is an independent. Daniel Callaghan is a Liberal Democrat. Angie Campion is an independent. Louise Dickens is the Workers' Party. Kevin Foster from the Green Party. Rio Goldhammer, the Yorkshire Party. Nika Omilana, no party at all. Brian Richmond, standing in the Richmond constituency, he's independent. Archibald Stanton, the Monster Raving Loony Party, they still exist. Rishi Sunak standing in the Conservative Party. Lee Taylor Reform, and Tom Wilson, the Labour Party.
Do you have to do that every time you mention a constituency?
Don't mention another one. I'll spend the next 3 hours. Johnson's interesting. The other thing that I've always thought, I don't know if we ever talked about this, today, of course, second asylum seeker was finally sent to Rwanda with £3,000.
Doubled the amount of people we've sent to Rwanda.
So it's only cost about 350 million per person.
A bargain.
I never understood, you'd be nearer to this than I never believed that he believed in Rwanda. I believed
well, he spent all the time trying to kill it in the Treasury. Saying
and then to get the job, this is my criticism of Sunak, to get Suella Braverman on the side, and he's died on a hill of something that I don't think anybody thinks is feasible and is going to work, and I've never understood that.
I think it's politics, isn't it? It's purely naked party management. When he was running for leader in 2022 against Liz Truss, I think he definitely discussed ditching Rwanda and saying that's a stupid idea, let's get rid of it. And actually, people like Gavin Williamson and his party whips and the like turned around and said, you know what, you need this. The MPs like it, the members love it. Like, you got to keep this because otherwise you won't. He didn't win it anyway, but he just needed it. It became so totemic within the Conservative Party as anything that it didn't. But having said that, I think he's slightly come round to it because now actually you've got people like VDL in Europe sort of underlying the European president. You've got Giorgia Meloni. You've got all these people in Europe starting to talk about using third countries for processing. And actually, yes, it wasn't a brilliant idea and we were kind of out on our own in the initial days, but actually people are coming round to it and saying, actually, you do need a deterrent. And even the National Crime Agency, who are a completely apolitical body, our top cops in this country, essentially, Britain's FBI, as it's sometimes called, even they're saying, you need a deterrent. You need something on top of simply just trying to stop people getting in boats and paying off the French. You need something as a sort of second thing in their head going, if I get in this boat, will I end up being deported? Is there a chance
listen, we mustn't get political, but I'd turn the bleeding boats around. I don't understand it. I don't understand a country that says...
I just think
I don't understand a country that has 170,000 people who haven't been processed. I've heard this about passports. They've changed that.
If it was possible, it would have been done by now. The thing
Are you sure, though?
Yeah, but in Australia, and everyone sort of leans for the Australian thing and says, well, Australia turned the boats around. But these were like proper boats made of metal and wood and with,
in which case we need to
bows
process them, Harry, when they get here. And 170,000 people says nothing about the fifth strongest country in the world. If we cannot train people...
Well, we are not the only country in the world dealing with these problems. America have got, 11 million people coming across the southern border. France, they've got their own problems. The Italians, the Greeks, it's not a unique problem to us. The problem we've got is that actually, we should, the fact we are an island, it should be much harder to reach here than it is. but it's not.
Now, listen, I'll always rant and rave. I imagine if you are leaving a war-torn country, and I have no experience of that, it's an appalling thing, and you want to get out. But you see, if I was leaving
France
a war-torn,
isn't that bad, though, is it?
well, wait. If I was, you've ruined it. If I was leaving a war-torn country, the first country I got to that wasn't at war, I'd stay. So why does everybody come to Britain? I'll tell you why it comes. And this is a fact. If I was offered a tent on a beach in Calais, I was offered a 4-star hotel in Dover. You know where I'm coming, right?
It's also. I mean, I'm taking French government talking points here, but it's much easier to work. It's much easier to work illegally in this country than it is in France. France have ID cards. You know, Europe is much stricter on this. Our black economy. I mean, the numbers that the numbers that are published, the government numbers, the amount of people working in this country illegally, woefully underestimate the amount of work that's done here in this country. You walk around. You don't need to. You walk around any town in this country and see it. You know full well that it's very easy to work. You don't need that. You don't need an ID card. You barely need a national insurance number. Cash in hand in this country is still pretty strong. And that's why people come here, because it's very easy to work.
I love your honesty. One final thing. One of the frustrations, many of the people that are calling and today are saying the Tories are in such turmoil. They're not attacking Labour. We don't believe and trust Labour on this whole tax thing. We're streeting over the weekend talking about council tax. They've talked about the big three: income tax, national insurance, all that VAT. But actually, fuel duty, capital gains tax, inheritance tax, council tax. Big one. You can't pay for stuff unless you raise the money, right?
There's a story in the Guardian, and I've had my run-ins with the Guardian in the past, but there's a story in the Guardian, very well sourced. Kieran Stacey, a great journalist, good guy. I have no reason to doubt his integrity, his sources. Someone in the Labour Party told him, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're going to have a budget if we win in September or October, and there's going to be 13 tax rises in it. And you think, why on earth? Yeah. And now, if you're leaking that, it's perfectly fair to ask them every single day, tell us which 13 it's going to be.
But the point is, and you know this from the job that you do, they've stopped listening to the British public have stopped listening to the Tory party because
I think the British public stopped listening to the Tory party a while ago.
But that's the exact thing that the Tory party should be attacking the Labour Party.
They are hammering it. They are, and it is. You're starting to see it in polls. You see those word clouds that the people who are asked sort of one or two words you associate with the parties, or what's the one issue that's playing on your mind, and you're starting to see the word tax get bigger and bigger and bigger in those. So it is starting to cut through. Whether it will make any difference, I'm not sure. But it is. People are starting to look at Labour and think, hang on, you are sort of taking us for granted here. You're probably going to win, but you should tell us what you're going to do if you do win.
I was going to say that was the last thing. One final thing, Nigel. Obviously, yesterday, Nigel Farage. It wasn't a manifesto; it's a contract. I'm not sure the difference has been pulled. No, it's been pulled. It's been pulled from pillar to post. But my question to you is this: Is he a game changer in this election, or is he
totally? The polls. There was evidence the polls could have narrowed. And I think that's probably why Nigel looked at it and thought, you know what, this is the perfect moment to just cause maximum chaos. Look, and anyone, frankly, anyone who's thinking about voting reform doesn't give two. I got in trouble for swearing.
I got into trouble today.
Don't really care what people like the IFS say. Remember that Michael Gove quote during the referendum? People are fed up with experts with three-letter acronyms, and the Institute of Fiscal Studies. They say, oh, your sums are wrong. Yeah, but people who are looking to vote to reform, and people who are thinking about voting reform, some pointy head bean counter in a well-paid, remunerated job in some posh think tank saying, oh, your sums don't add up. Whatever.
Do one. My wife said to me, I hear you're spending election night with Harry and Jack. I said, I am. When I finish this, I'm getting the wine and coming down. Listen, just to remind everybody, Monday, big thing in the news building, hosted by Harry, of course. Keir Starmer, live audience, questions from Sun viewers, readers, everybody here at Talk as well. And then Rishi Sunak. We're going to run. I don't care, Ryan. Put your foot down and be a producer with foresight. Say, we're running it. If the bosses don't like that, tough. Do you know what I'm saying? He's terrified of the bosses. Harry Cole. No, stop worrying.
Tune in tomorrow. Never mind the ballots. YouTube tomorrow morning to see me. I've got a great big tombola. I've got a great big tombola. We're going to pull the balls to decide who goes first. We haven't actually decided exactly how it's going to work, but there'll be balls. How many balls? And a tombola.
That's not fair to say that to me, a man with one ball, but that's okay. Are you having two balls, or are you?
I think there'll be multiple balls.
Really?
Blue and red balls. Yeah.
He's come on this show and talked about multiple balls. There we go.
And blue balls.
Thank you very much indeed. You concentrate on the tie. Harry Cole, thank you very much indeed.